All right, we've reached the tail end of the broadcast today. The last game for the evening. We've made it all the way to HLTV territory. Round of 32, HAVU up against TSM, and it is a vertigo finish for us. We've switched games to check out what should be a bit of a banger. Two teams we haven't seen yet between both the qualifiers, Vince, so we get our first stab right here, right now.
Indeed we do. And both teams are very capable of winning this game. That's what makes this a very interesting proposition as well. Two teams that could even have made the closed qualifiers through on the second open qualifier. And it's going to be Slowy that's taking that first point. A call takes 3 kills down with the USP before he's traded out, leaving TSM in all sorts of bother with Valda and Inters together to try and salvage this round. But it's gone from bad to worse. It's all in Inters.
One man left standing. Minute on the clock, being flanked by Yuli. He's coming round towards the bridge. Will he fade out of existence or hit some 6 shots with the fade Glock? Walks his way over the bridge, spots him, tries to get the tap off and does eventually connect onto the head, shutting Yuli down and starting his passage towards the B bomb site. That's what he wants them to think as he turns on a dime, cuts noise and doubles back to A. He's going to have time for this, but it will be dangerously close. It's not even an A-site play. It's actually up ladder and through middle. 25 seconds on the clock. He's leaving himself with not too much time to get this done, Vince, and still has to find his way in through window and onto the bomb site.
He's been spotted and also taken a bunch of damage as well on the retreat. So once he drops down here, well, doesn't even need to drop down. Otto's there to just deal the fatal damage. This full finish roster. Starting off with a bang in the pistol. I think this is our first time casting Vertigo today as well, which is always nice to see a bit of a change on the maps. It's been interesting how many games of Ancient in particular we've casted over this last couple of days, Jacky. I thought we'd be seeing a lot more like Mirage, maybe even a couple of nukes pop up here and there, but tons and tons of Ancient and quite a bit of Anubis as well.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's a lot more love for Ancient and Anubis from most teams in CST. Inferno's fallen off a cliff in terms of its pro play high rate. Vertigo, definitely getting a bit more love. Feels like most people like to hate on it, but honestly, I really enjoy it. And you're definitely seeing professional teams playing it a bit more, which is, it's fun. It's good to see. I think it's an interesting map and plays quite nicely in CS2. Yuli, ooh, heart on the sleeve as he peeks out towards stairs. Catches whiff though, Vince is able to dash the HE and back off in time. Banjo replying with the MP9, but low armor pen, not going to be able to connect too much damage there.
Yeah, Yuli's able to stay in position as well, though. I don't think there's anything to really deal with him other than maybe if Inter's Molotov finds its way up and over. And they've all stacked here. They've gambled on this being the play. No one watching the back for the time being, other than Joel, but from more of a passive angle. So it could be CTs in spawn, or maybe making a move down on ramp side. Banjo kicks off the round. They do get the wall bang though onto Yuli. Puts a bit more pressure on Banjo, and the MP9's not necessarily tailor-made at this kind of range. And with still enough time on the clock, they are going to go for the rotation. So pushing back over onto A.
The full wrap around. Erax, perfect timing with the MP9, but he gets his block knocked off. As he'll fall to Valde. Flash over the top as well. Otton cannot withstand the sheer damage done by Jax's Tech 9. And they're right there. They're on the precipice of getting the bomb site, but the bomb has been dropped. Slain by Slowy on the peak back towards device. 10 seconds on the clock, Vince. They have to pass the parcel and get the bomb down. It needs to go that way. And right now they prioritize the frags instead. Jax, 4 seconds to frag. Has to get the kill. Time ticking. Oh, doubles back, but it's too little too late, Vince. You might find the kill, but it's after time.
Yeah, that's really grim if you're Jackson. He had the chance. He had 2 bullets left in the magazine. He tried to one-tap twice, missed both of them. HAVU lost a lot of players, though. They have to go in for the full-on rebuy across the board. So even though they get success, you better believe that TSM are going to force their buy-in, knowing that HAVU are hanging by a thread. It does put us into a bit of an awkward spot where the loser of this round could be in double eco territory or maybe a 4-spar and a very, very poor buy. So a lot to play for early doors here, but HAVU just about holding on. Have the M4 in the hands of Banjo, but they have no kits, only 2 incendiaries as well. That could be a problem.
Uncomfortable one to lose as well. They're going to be kicking themselves, you'd imagine, off the back of that result. And now they set their focus back towards the A-bomb site. Few nades, few pieces to play with. But Slowy, he's actually just walking down. He's going raw contact onto this. And Joel does try and reply with the deagle, but it's too late. He falls, the information is gained. You can recover a single FAMAS, but you've also eaten the nades, softening up a few of these players, making it easier to convert the kills on the SMGs. And they keep fighting, Vince. Not just waiting for the push to come towards them, but taking the initiative, and now leading by 2 frags on the round.
Yeah, spot on, and that means that TSM's going to throw in what remains, the remnants of their utility. And Yuli's taking the initiative, just pushes straight in with the MP9, using those SMGs where they shine brightest. Valda surrounded by CTs, can't do much, sprays down the middle. And HAVU will have the 3-0 lead. Nothing wrong with that round. It does push back TSM. No post-plant means no buy. Half buy at best for some Deegs and maybe Tech 9s, but HAVU have passed with flying colours. They can now try and establish themselves on a solid financial basis. Yes, a few players going to be low, but this should be their round where they pick it up. No, actually, TSM go in for this. An interesting kind of mix-up buy where 2 players go all in. Joel's on an AK-47, but they do have a bit of money left over as well. So maybe HAVU still have to pass a few more tests yet.
Tons of damage done onto Jax. Absolutely eats the grenade as the HE is thrown towards him. Jax peeks up, cleaves his way through too as the human hatchet battles back and ramp control is snatched by TSM. This time it's looking good for the T side to secure their first round in the game. You've whittled HAVU down to just 2 players and they're fragmented. 1 on each site. Meanwhile, the T's, knowing they've got tons of time, don't have to commit off the back of these initial picks. They can slow the round down, wait for a rotation, attempt to find another pick, and make sure this is a guaranteed round. They're testing the waters at A with Jax. Then, if he feels comfortable, he'll relay this info, and they'll go for the full commit.
Yeah, very impressive from the Frenchman. HAVU, in the meanwhile, deciding to stack in onto the B site, hoping that if TSM do decide to pull the trigger and go for B, they'll have both players there laid in wait, but more than likely they just want to hold on to these M4 and Galil duo and run it back into the next round. With Arax on 1700, before the end of this round, he can maybe rummage together a buy as well. It's going to be a hard ask, though, but TSM getting it done with pretty much Jax. I mean, I say TSM, effectively, that's the Jax show, right? 3 kills all by himself, just perched up on the sandbag, having a quick peer across. Very nicely done. 3-1 is going to be the scoreline. TSM, they have picked up rifles as well, so that's really bolstering their endeavors going forward. All 4 players coming down, but I don't think they're going to push any further. This is just to stop them from getting evaporated by the bomb. And there we have it. Round 5 going to be kicking off. Do HAVU have enough in the locker to go for a buy here? Not really.
Not the best. Not the dream, really, when it comes to the funds. They've opened up their mobile banking app. They've had a look at it. They've decided to put back the meal deal. They'll work with what they've got here. Few rifles, the Deagle, MP9 in play for Slowy. Ooh, Jax, the opposite of slow on this one. Speedy stuff as he gets himself tucked in towards stairs on B quite early. Molotov over the top to burn anyone playing close towards the woods. Double HE set up here as well to clear out the close angle. First nade first, second slightly delayed. Follow up from Banjo though as he'll peek back out and surgically remove the head Vince. Pressure on for TSM now.
They're so aggressive as well, pushing straight through. Molly's down, but head's being collected by Joel of Inters. Joel with another one, and then last spray narrowly missing out on Otto. 3 play 2, but another post plant means probably another save, I would imagine. Slowy wants to pick up the M4. That would have been relayed from his teammate. I think he assumed that that magazine that had been depleted on the ground was actually another grenade. Not the case. And the Molotov forces him back anyway. So it's going to be another save. And that was a full-on investment as well for HAVU. So it's not as if they can come back into the next round with, your ropes and all of your nice trimmings. They're going to be in a very similar position to the start of this round, whereas TSM are just building that bank, building that confidence, building that momentum, and are just one round behind HAVU as it stands. Of course, these are all best of ones today. There's only one best of 3 tomorrow. It's going to be in the quarterfinals. And we'll find out which 4 teams will join the 4 from the first RMR qualifiers, going across those close qualifiers later on in the month. I think it starts around the 18th, Jacky, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like a week or so away at this point.
Yeah, there's a bit of downtime between obviously the open qualifiers finishing up and then the closed qualifiers starting. So once everyone's back home, anyone that's visiting the HLTV Awards, anyone that's off, having a little bit of a break. And I think that's also past the point of officially the player break ending as well. So maybe for a few more teams, they've got a little bit more practice in come that point. Don't worry, we'll be covering all the closed qualifier EU action as well. If you've been enjoying the show we've been putting on over the past few days. Joel, straight on in. Looking to defend, playing around the cusp of the smoke here. Waiting for him to come running over the top through the boost towards window and absolutely maul them. Don't fancy their chances and you can't blame them. If you can at least hold on to the weaponry you've got, that's the best case scenario. The USPs, though, could try and push in. No SMGs in place. If they get fed to the Lions, it won't matter too much. Best possible outcome is maybe finding a weapon on this one. But TSM probably don't want to give them that opportunity. A bit of a lurk from Valde, and that's about all she wrote for the round.
Yeah, managing to retrieve 2 M4s out of this, not too shabby for HAVU. But TSM with no more casualties. I mean, 11,000 on Modo, 9K on Valda. Everyone else around $4,000 plus. Obviously, that may change a little bit towards the end of the buy time, but they are super, super healthy. Meanwhile, HAVU do have enough now to go in for a buy, but it's not going to include an AWP. Interestingly, seeing quite a lot of players, even on maps where you typically would expect to see an AWP, just drop it now for the rifles. But I feel like Vertigo from day one was always a map where AWPers typically struggled a little bit more. It's quite bottlenecky. There's not as many opportunities. Depends on the AWPer, of course, but no AWP for the time being on HAVU. We'll be curious to see if that changes as the rounds progress.
Yeah, CT side, it could be a little bit hard to get going sometimes on Vertigo. Ooh, timing of the nade, though. That's exactly what you want to get this round going. Lands directly on target and deals so much shrapnel amongst the TSM squad, slowing them down on entry and making it far easier for you to hit those one-tap headshots and take them out of commission with this silenced M4. Banjo, can he play them like the instrument as they come pushing on up? Joel, ready, rip-roaring as he strikes on the first. Blind Banjo clashes back. And Slowy assists as well, Vince. A trade of nades, also softening up the CTs, but they're holding strong on the defense.
Doing a solid job so far. Jack's down low, and Valda alongside him may be called upon, but he's nowhere near his teammate. And he's decided that he is going over onto A, but he doesn't have the bomb. The bomb is dropped out on the B site, so he's going to go for the long con here. They have tons of cash. It's more probably along the lines of, does he want to necessarily throw his AK away and give it to one of the CTs? But he must realize that the economy of HAVU is far from ideal and set up just yet. If he can get another kill or 2 out of this round, that in itself could be somewhat of a victory and set them up, soften their money up for further shenanigans in this half. So he is going to go in for it. With 10 seconds left, he's looking and desperately trying to pry a couple more corpses to the ground. There's one. Banjo falls to his demise, but Slowy is there to deal the fatal damage. 3 players perfectly fine for HAVU, and 3 AKs taken out of the round as well. They regain the lead after 3 on the bounce to TSM.
Quelled the issue, fixed the problems. Been able to put themselves back into a really good position now. CT side looking good. Just maintain pace on this one. TSM. They do don the scope this time around. Otond has one as well. So a clash of the two AWPers finally coming to the server. Who will have the AWPer hand? That's the big question. Can you use it as a bit of a probing tool? Will it be spawn-based? Having a look at where he is. Middle of the pack spawn. And a second towards that B entry. So a little bit too delayed if they want to go for the fast peek. Down through stairs. You won't quite be fast enough to hit that shot. He instead seems to be taking it up towards mid early on. So maybe just playing defensive, passive with a weapon. Jax runs on in with a flash, but Oton had the good spawn. He's already in position, wins out on that fight, drops his nades to his teammate in Banjo, so you can just hold the push, and he can go back to playing mid. This is a really good opener from HAVU.
Yeah, solid output to kick the round off with. Especially as Jax has been sort of the heavy hitter in these early rounds. That 3K picked up with the Galil in round 4 was pretty much the difference maker. So him being down and dead and buried, not only does it take some utility off the board, but additionally it puts so much more pressure on TSM. And even though they had those 3 rounds back-to-back, HAVU consistently saving, didn't really give us a show of what their protocols are on the retakes just yet, and haven't shown TSM either. The situation they were put in was, right, we're behind, lads, we want to save, we want to try and keep our economy as good as possible. So let's go peace out and save those 2 M4s, or the Galil and M4, or whatever the options were that are available. But TSM, Jacky, they look like they're about to push into B here. And there is Banjo. Otto's here as well, but he's not really in a position to help Banjo out. He's all alone, and there are Molotovs to deal with his position.
Oh, Banjo. Brute force is the issue off the back of the initial peak. But now with the nades at his play, he can really slow this down. Problem is, Joel has been so crisp with these entries. He keeps it up again here as well. Hitting the head. Follow-up frag found. Spam into the box is good enough to trade out onto 1, but it's all down to the big brain. 10 seconds on the clock. Goes for the boost up. Delayed reaction on the peak, and Slowy will strike. Man, Vince, the real difference for them on these plays towards B has been Joel. It feels like he's so crisp at getting the entries. Towards A, it's all been the Jack show. He's damn good at finding maneuvers towards ramp and opening up for them. But if it's not an individual putting the round on their back, it feels like overall TSM have just got their days numbered in this game. HAVU really do look like the better team at the minute. And that's the big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. You know, HAVU have the teamwork. TSM probably have the individual prowess. I mean, some of these guys have played at the very top level of Counter-Strike, of course. Valda, Jax, to name just a couple. Intus has had his moments as well. Joel, that young gun with tons of potential and talent, maybe one for the future, as he passes another bullet and once again gets the entries, as you were just mentioning before. Had a lot of impact over on B, but now on A, showing his hand as well. Low, Yuli has to fall back. And TSM, all 5 players strong, making it very clear that they're going to ride together or die together up on this A play. Of course, they have tons of time available, though. If they want to go ahead and retreat and go back over on the B side, they can do that. But a lack of mid control could be a problem for them. It could force them into an A hit.
They're going back to A. They need Jax to show up in the manner he has been. Yuli, fast on his feet, bit of damage done down the ladder as he starts to descend and begin his flank. We'll see if he can encroach upon them, as they've already gotten past bridge and they're up towards the front entrance of the site. Modo, with the scope, attaches himself straight into the face of Slowy. Nades thrown over the top. Site ablaze, Vince, and tight on time, just as they extinguish it. He's going to get the bomb planted, but they're leaving themselves in a bit of a hard defense here. Only blessing is the economy being so patchy for HAVU, and the frags already going the way of TSM. They're just going to call it quits, throw in the towel on this one, give up the round to the T's, and opt to play for the next with the free weapons.
Yeah, maybe one of the factors as well as to why HAVU are looking a little bit sharp when it comes to teamwork, but TSM when it comes to the pure aim and dueling potential is, I mean, this roster hasn't been together as 5 for very long. In actual fact, I was just checking that, make sure, Joel is still linked as a trialist as opposed to a full member of the team on Liquipedia. Additionally, their coach came in at the start of January when Joel pretty much came in. Obviously, Cypher was the player that left to go enjoy Bleed. And so they haven't been together for that long. The rest of the roster's now been together for about 3 or 4 months. So a decent length of time, but nothing too significant. Maybe that's also factoring into some of the kind of small cracks that we're seeing, that this is a team that is very much transitioning right now and trying to find out who they are.
At least we're getting an opportunity to have a bit of an eye test. Ooh, lucky stuff on a peak there. Tony Hawk's pro skater level plays, comes around doing a kickflip and barely tucks himself back in before the board gets broken. So still alive, still standing. Nades out for Slowy, down towards the bottom of ramp there. Gonna eat a fair amount of damage from it as well. Joel and Inters losing a little bit of life overall. It doesn't ward them off, doesn't force them back. If anything, it just makes them buy a bit of time, regroup, and opt to clear this together. Modo's going to take the first peek with the scope. Everyone else is in position to try and instigate this push. Slowy's backing off a little bit. Airax is there to support as well, but ramp control is being fought for.
Yeah, it is. It's been quite surprising to me that HAVU haven't been a bit more aggressive with their ramp control, though. I mean, we've seen a couple of sort of flirtatious moments from them, but for the most part, they're playing very deep defensively, and they're absorbing a lot of pressure that's being applied to TSM. And now all of TSM laid in wait, congregated on the ramp. Yuli's watching the tight angle, but he has pretty much no backup whatsoever. Flashed off. Airax does go in for the peak. Small gap in the smoke allows Yuli to maybe pivot in. There's a player behind him as well with a FAMAS. So they've done a good job so far of pushing TSM back and not allowing them to close the gap.
Modo trying to reposition, but blind, dazed, confused, and now abused by the M4 of Yuli. Jax low on health, 11 HP to his name, peppered as they peek together. And the CT's just overwhelmed on re-entry, cleaning up the mess towards the bomb site and taking that 6th round. TSM trailing behind. 4-6 now. 2 left at the end of the half, so a little bit more to play with. Can they bring this back? Claim 2 rounds on the trot to tie it 6-6? Or is this going to be HAVU starting to dominate towards the end of this best of one's first half? The utility thrown out straight away towards ramp, but it's middle that is being fought for. He's caught contact and Yuli can wait with a delayed nade. Both of those HGs dealing a ton of damage, Vince, and making it incredibly awkward. They give up the early fight.
Yeah, precisely. Because of the grenades being so on point, Valda and Joel can't really justify continuing to press forward. That has instantly repelled them to go back onto this A play again. Once again, though, it's more of a passive hold. Otto's not peeking down with his AWP. You see a lot of AWPers go for this. They have that buddy system. One player plays on side. The other one is the AWPer or the M4 pushing down on the mid or taking scaffolding, for example. Not happening. Otto's watching side instead. Jax could walk straight into the crosshair. Does just that. Smoke comes down. Otto's going to lay in wait a little bit longer. And a secondary smoke from Slowy allows him to make a move in and help his AWPer out. This has been a very grim start to the round, and it's gone from bad to worse. Valda catches a stray bullet. And with you in this position... Oh, he's actually got killed. He got killed by Motto. Must have transferred for the second spray. This is now doable. This is now in an interesting position if he TSM. Post-plant coming up.
Oh, mate. Airax trying to clean house. Throwing out haymakers on a bomb site, but he's only good enough to get the one banjo replies. And Joel, how does he play this? I mean, he's behind the sandbags right now, listening out for the audio cue. They want to bait him out for the peak, and then it's all on Otton to hit the shot. He's spamming in the smoke, hopes that he knows his lineup, but it's too little too late. Even did find the adjustment shot onto Otton, Vince. There's a timeline where he very well wins that. But in this day and age, in our current situation, it slips by inches away from a 5th round, but instead it's 7 for HAVU. Beginning to dominate now on the CT side, and they could be up by 4 rounds here, close it out with a big lead, and project themselves into a brilliant position going into the second half. TSM, are they going to change pace? They go back to basics, an A ramp bombardment. They're playing fast on this one, but that doesn't help. They eat damage from that nade.
Oh man, that grenade just nuked Jackson Joel. Almost deja vu in a very different position, of course, the last round, but it's the same outcome, softened up. We know how that round ended. I think a Molotov may have just detonated in the air, didn't do anything there. And slowly gets aggressive, but it's to his detriment. Joel's there to send him packing. A lot of damage done once again with another HE. Intiz and Joel feeling the brunt of that. A missed shot from Otto, but he doesn't get punished for it fully. Able to stay alive a bit longer. Banjo from the side now pivots in. So many bodies here from HAVU. The Finns are standing and delivering, but perhaps not for much longer. It's the Danes' turn. No one checks side. The bomb carrier is completely left by himself. And in doing so is easy pickings. Joel with the spray is good. Another 2-on-2. So many of these rounds have been so very close.
Oh, mate, Airax with the flank, Swift with it, as he's able to blow them away. And it's been tight. You're right. It's been down to consistent 1v2s, 1v1, small situations where a little bit of a difference could have meant that this is TSM's half to win. TSM sat there with an 8-4 split. Even if you go way back towards the start of the game, Jax with the pistol in the 1v1, pushing towards elevator with a Tech 9, runs out of ammo, has to give up the fight. Time ticks over, can't plant, can't win the round. So many small moments that could have bloated their score a lot more. Instead, we're given this, an 8-4. Double doolies pulled out for TSM though. The CTs playing for audio. Joel sits looking down towards ramp. Here's that. They all rotate. They're going for a big old stack.
Every player on the server in close proximity, but it is TSM that come out better to kick things off. Banjo from behind misses his chance. Has to pull away. Motto goes back in. Both of these players around the corner alone, but Jax still takes the head of Yuli with Motto bagging himself Banjo. TSM do take the second pistol. Oh, and Jacky, what an important round that could end up being, because they can establish their economy, and its pressure really switches back onto HAVU again now.
That's crazy, mate. Banger of a pistol round. Good momentum. Some snapshots. Jax looking good into this game. Definitely the difference maker on the server for TSM. Does he have enough steam to keep going with this one, though? Round 14 goes live. Nothing in the bank for HAVU. It's just the pistols to play with. Airax has upgraded himself onto a 50 cal. Has the Deagle in his hands. Double nade, coordinated down towards bottom ramp, but no damage. Nothing to take away from that one. Jax testing the waters, dipping the toes in outside of B. Smokes up as well and waits for the response. And they're starting to bite on this. They're rotating back around, seeing if he is going to overcommit. Meanwhile, ramp control has been well and truly taken.
Yeah, boosted up on the box as well with 2 MP9s. I mean, this is a murder house position if ever I've seen one. You go through with no Kevlar into this kind of a setup, it is going to be very difficult to get any kind of success. They have made the correct decision, unbeknownst to them, but still, there's no easy way forward with Jax on the MP9 and Intiz on the M4 behind him. And it is a clean sweep, no casualties. Very important on the side of TSM. No bomb plant either, so HAVU can buy. It's not going to be fantastic, though. But they still have that 2-round lead, and TSM can't take their eyes off this game. They cannot afford HAVU the luxury of extending this lead. To be fair to both teams, they've probably both been playing for at least 8 hours at this point, with a lot of waiting around. They'll both be tired. I think in most of the players' regions right now in Finland, it's probably 12:30 at night. A lot of these players sort of 11:30, so this is where mental fatigue and mental strength definitely plays a part as well.
That fortitude being a huge factor. We always talk about it with the nature of these open qualifiers because they are long days and they can definitely come back to bite you in the bottom. How much time have you had to stretch your legs even? Have a glass of water, have a banana, maybe mong out to some snow patrol on the beanbag. It's just something to reset the mental. All things that you need to factor in. And right now for HAVU, can they stay headstrong? Keep on delivering. They're going for the play towards the A site. The smoke goes up to deny the push. SMG's in close proximity. Intiz takes a hell of a dink and he's going to fall. Overwhelmed by the AK as it mauls him. Banjo, meanwhile, he's found a back door into the bomb site. Waltzed his way into B and can try and hold control of this. Joel's going to rotate around with the MP9. Looks for a cheeky peek, peppered with bullets. Banjo still taking the fight to him, Vince, and goes toe-to-toe nicely. Bought enough time for his teammates to rotate in. They've got clear passage into B now.
Still need to tread lightly, though. Yuli is low HP, and Valdo with that MP9 could be a real problem. Doesn't quite have the full reinforcements there just yet. Now they're beginning to show up. Airax with the bomb. Gonna go in for the plant. Valda taking some damage on the gens. Both the SMGs remain. We know how powerful MP9s are right now in CS, however, but they've picked up the M4 and are looking to try and back away with these weapons. This was effectively a bonus round for TSM, so it's not quite panic stations just yet. There will be a very comfortable rebuy in, including an AWP if they want one. But it's the fact that HAVU now extend their lead again by 3, 9-6 to score. And if TSM were to fall on their swords in this next round, with that full investment, things get very tentative indeed. There is a secondary M4 if he wants it. Probably just doesn't want to give his position away until the very end of the round. For Jax, there we go, switches it as the bomb masquerades a little bit of the sound. 9-6 to score. Game is definitely on here, Jacky. This is still anybody's match.
It's close, bud. Feel the tension in the air on this one. And TSM, slow start, few unfortunate clutch rounds, resulted in them being in the position they're even in right now. And if they can at least maintain this momentum, they might be able to close the gap, get it back in their favor. Modo has the AWP. CT side vertigo, glass cannon AWP. If he overexposes himself, you really do run the risk of losing an awful lot. And this is an interesting way to play it. 2-player setup towards middle with him taking an advanced angle, pushing the whole way in to play up close. If Yuli comes out with a fast peek, uses his utility proficiently, this could really end badly for Modo. He's also just going to be thinking about the timing on this, listening out to the audio cue of them backing off once his players bait them. And Vince, the timing could not have been worse. Just as he sets up for the Molotov, they give up the control towards mid. Meanwhile, B gets hit and they slide in. Airax on entry gets a free frag.
I think they may be pulling the plug already, you know. The way that they instantly backed out of there and just repelled themselves away from the site. When you got 5 players still alive for HAVU, the utility count's looking pretty dire. 2 flashes and a smoke. No incendiaries or HEs. It feels like they're kind of half committing to this. Now fully committing perhaps, but Valda just runs into the gauntlet, runs into the blender, and it's Airax that will reap him without too many issues. And although they trade up to an AK-47, it will be a save. Minimal entry frags or exit frags for TSM post-plant. And HAVU will hit 10 first. And although, as I was mentioning before, like, you know, you're buying in, and if they get beat, it's going to be real rough times. They realize the same situation. That's why they called the timeout, the save really quick. I'm just a bit surprised, Jacky, that Valda actually went in there at the end. It's like, it didn't feel like there was much planning in that one. It was more of a gut instinct, and it just completely backfired for him.
Painful stuff, bud. It's only been 2 rounds to either side here into the second half. A bit of a trade. Obviously, pistol round was taken by HAVU. And the writing was on the walls. It was looking worrying for TSM. So the fact they've been even able to get a bit of momentum back bodes well. It's all about consistency. Sustainable rounds are the most important. That's the big asterisk. And Modo switching up his play. Not as supple as last round, but did you not see him? Airax on the side of his screens, playing inside of the smoke. No contact found. Joel replies, has to salvage that one. Meanwhile, Valde comes in from the backside and strikes on ramp with the MP9. Closing down onto Slowy and forcing Oton to back off and link up with the rest of the team. A 3-pronged attack now going up the B stairs. And everyone's rotated offense. They've given all the space in the world to this B play.
Yeah, the only downside is for T's, they have no idea about that. As far as they're concerned, the CTs are still here, but Inters seem to have no understanding this was a possibility. Caught with a nade out in the open. Jack's now with a spray. Down the middle, double mollies. Will isolate him, but there is Joel up on the window. And although there's a smoke in the eyes of Otto, there's only so much one man can do in this position. Unless they feed him 3 separate 1v1s, there's not much hope for him. And down he will fall. TSM nearly threw this round away with that over-rotation, and Inter's getting caught. But HAVU couldn't make the most of it. And down they fall into the depths once more. But they do have some money to allow them to float back to the surface. Going to be a tactical timeout, though. They're going to really think this one over.
Call a pause. Mull over the decision. And figure out what you do. Cash is there for the AWP, and it again will be pulled out. Otond will have the big scope in his hands. So a battle of the AWPers can commence in this one. TSM with a tenacious defense into the round 17, but you've got to maintain pace now. Game goes live again as well. Off the back of the pause, time ticking down here. HAVU. Utility is there for them. They've got all the bells and whistles that they're going to need. And again, you're only 3 rounds away from shutting this down. At this point, we're getting close towards the early hours of the morning, heading up towards the midnight mark. So it's going to be getting tiring. Utilities thrown out from the sides as they strike very quickly here. Actually dialing up the pace to about 11 on the play towards the A side. Vince, smoke at the last second for Valde keeps him alive, but at what cost? 22 HP. Airax also spotting the peak. They double back. No casualties yet.
Into shoulder peeking, Molly up and over. He can relocate. Yeah, Valde took a pasting in that sandbags position. Forced his smoke out, but still the HE rattled him. 22 HP, but still alive, still kicking. And HAVU very passive and very patient in this round. They've had the same kind of mentality and playstyle on both sides of Vertigo. I wonder if that could end up being a determining factor come the end of this game. Can they pick up the pace? If TSM start to string some rounds together, can they give us a different look? Molly straight down onto Jax. He gets fragged on the retreat. No chance for him to survive that one. And although Inters has the narrowest of margins to maybe pick off a pixel and try and execute from, it won't stop the bomb plant. Slowy somehow survives on a slither of health and then sprays into Joel, takes him down in the process. Will die. But he's bought up so much time for his teammates, and there's no way that TSM are going to go for this at this stage of the round.
Fully cooked. The egg's been in the pan for far too long. And Yuli, he's just holding. If he pushes, it won't pan out well for him. All he's got to do is hold and let the round slide on by. They're not going to overextend from these angles. Losing their weapons is the worst case scenario, Vince, but he just spams it. Debating whether or not they're on top of the box, he goes for the pre-fire, and Yuli has ruined them. You would be tilted to the moon and back.
I mean, they went for that same boost earlier in the game, but I don't believe that HAVU saw it. It's not the most crazy of boosts. You see quite a few teams go for that, but man, the guy must have like 500 IQ. Sprays it down, gets the kill. Salt in the wounds, and a tactical timeout has been called from TSM. They know that HAVU are on the brink, on the precipice of knocking them out of the second qualifier. There is another chance, qualifier number 3 in a couple of days, but they would be joining teams like Bleed, like OG, to name just a couple. I think Endpoint are in there, K10 are in there as well. So there's a lot of teams there that you have to be very cautious of. And of course, they want to get the job done right here, right now, Jacky. They're only a few games away. They're a best of 3 and another best of 1 after this game away from qualifying for the close qualies. So close yet so far. They know it. And they're going to get aggressive. But so are HAVU. I asked the question, do they have aggression in them? They do, but it's been repelled.
Held back for now. First man falls, HAVU harmed. What's the response? Again, tucked in behind the sandbags. Joel, luckily, he'll be able to realize he needs to reposition, but he wasn't ready for where he could be peeked from. They'd already got upside. They strike, taking him down from the side swipe. Modo replies onto Slowy, walking his way round, pre-scoped on the ramp, but his block's been knocked off as Yuli keeps the pain train going. Now that's the bomb going down. Yuli's going to have that one hammered home. They've got site control to work with. You're stuck in a 3 versus 3 retake, and HAVU, they're grinning from ear to ear. They know they've secured this one. Money so bad for TSM, they back off, have to give up the round, and basically at this point, wave the flag, letting them know they're playing for OT. Maybe some exchange, Vince. Late retake. They've switched this one up. They're walking back in. You're going to have no real time for it. Maybe just hoping they can get a couple of exits. But your cash is in a really rough spot, trying to keep them close on the site. They can't jump on the bomb, let alone have a kit to hard commit. They will still try and get away with their lives and keep the T's trapped towards the site. But it's a 1-for-1 trade. And I feel like, honestly, that harms the CTs more.
Far more, Jacky. I'm just sat here scratching my head. Like, what was the thought process? Did TSM think they had a kit? Did they think they could maybe ninja that one away from under HAVU's nose? The risk was not worth the reward. You got 3 or 4 players at $2,000. They can squeak out a buy, but now you've put Motto onto a Deagle, 2 MP9s, and you have 2 rifles. Whereas the T's had tons of cash. Like, they were going to be easily able to rebuy with AWPs, with full utility regardless. Very questionable decision from TSM. Maybe that's where some of that mental fatigue that we were talking about before, Jacky, really comes into the picture.
It was bizarre, wasn't it? It's one of those where I'm even thinking, I'm looking at it like, have I read this wrong? Have they somehow got money? Where's the kit? What are they going to do? But no, it just doesn't work. Even if, you basically fully wiped HAVU, I still feel like you've screwed the pooch on that one, as you just didn't have the money to spare. And that's what they've done. They forced themselves into this, just mere SMGs to work with. All right, in Joel's hands, it still looks like a rifle. But they bite down on him, take 15 HP off him, and Jax, he's got to go absolutely barbarian, Vince. At least the backup of Inters works this time, and they are squeezing their way through this round.
They certainly are. Also exceptionally low. So it seems like maybe TSM have plugged the gap for the first of 5 rounds. But keep in mind that economy is still on a razor's edge for TSM. If HAVU can lay down a couple more bodies, that could be good enough. Yuli has the flash lined up, and Banjo may be pushing behind that, but the Valda is sneaking behind them. He has this round in the palm of his hand. Olu's going to be caught. Yep, down he goes. Flash does connect in the eyes of Valda. Banjo just, I guess, didn't realize or had his attention focused elsewhere, knowing that he might get pushed from the site itself. Either way, he was a goner, to be honest. But HAVU still have 4 match points available, but they may have to tap out of this one, Jacky. They could squeak together a buy, but when you have a bit of a buffer, you don't necessarily have to chase this one just yet.
No, you know that you can run with the advantage you have, right? You've got a safety net. If you're walking a tightrope and you look down, you see if you fall, you're going to be alive and you're going to be happy. You're not as scared. You're not as panicked. You're not forced into burning potential economy. Well, mate, the problem is Tech9's Vince, whenever they come out to play and we're casting, it feels like it's a guaranteed round, and this could be one of them. They're putting the pressure on A fast. Nice Molotov from Valde, at least, to buy time for the rotate to arrive on the scene. So these pistols are getting dangerously close, and that's where they're at their best, when they're in your face.
Exactly. When the Tech9s are up close and personal, and there's flashes and smokes and HEs going off, that's really where they shine. Being able to conjure chaos is really the play here if you're HAVU, but they've ran out of steam a little bit. The fuel they were hoping to linchpin off with the flashes is gone, but Banjo's Deagle is on point. Motto loses his head, considering that Joel is low HP and there's still just shy of a minute left on the clock. HAVU may not be done just yet. There are still ways for them to win this round. 3-player stack on side is about to go in.
Banjo with the Deagle, firing off the warning shot, trying to draw the attention of the crosshairs towards him, and he even hits the mark, beheading Joel. Valde wants to peek out. If he overextends, it could end badly for him, and the Molotov doesn't burn fast enough to kill the player planting. They're able to secure the site, and it's whittling down to a 2v2. Damage back onto Otond, half HP. Banjo plays behind the sandbags, Vince. There is no nades on either side. They cannot smoke off these angles. They cannot force him out with a Molotov, and they've got to trade for one another. It needs to be swift as well. Time's ticking away, and the Deagle is dealing deathly blows. Inters is about to go go down. There's no real time left on the round. TSM, it looks like their days are numbered here on Vertigo, and HAVU will be walking away with 13 in the bag. They pick up the pieces, Vince, and secure it in the open qualifier.